Good morning. What an exciting day here at North Carolina NT State University, and we are absolutely delighted to have so many of you crowded in this small room, to say the least. And certainly want to thank all of you for being with us, certainly our Board of Trustee members and Board of Visitors members, members of our Aggie Athletic Foundation, and our new partners, the Big South, and members of the board, commissioner for the Big South. We're absolutely delighted to have you all with us this morning. Now, 5 years ago, as North Carolina NT State University, with its board of trustees, continually exploring ways for looking out over the horizon, as I define it, to continue to strategically think about this institution as it continues to grow and enhance its reputation as a highly regarded doctoral research land-grant institution. Athletics, which has always been an important aspect of North Carolina NT State University, as it is with many universities, became an important part of our conversation. And during that window of time, I asked our AD, working with a small group of constituents of our university, to begin to explore athletics and the role of athletics increasingly more here at North Carolina NT. As all of you know, North Carolina NT was a founding member 50 years ago of the Mid-Eastern Athletics Conference, the MEAC. We've always been a very proud member of the MEAC and continue even today in helping to push and expand the role and opportunities for our student athletes here at North Carolina NT through our participation in the MEAC. At our Board of Trustees meeting strategically in August of this year as part of our annual retreat with our Board of Trustees, we had another very enlightening conversation with our Board of Trustees about where we are with athletics, and our Board of Trustees took the initiative at that time to appoint an athletics assessment committee of Board of Trustee members, Board of Visitors members, Aggie Athletic Foundation members, Hall of Famers, and other constituents of our university to now take an increasingly more intense deep dive and assessment of athletics and make an incredible decision about the future of athletics at North Carolina NT State University. The chair of that committee was board member Tim King. And North Carolina NT State University thinks about the role it plays as one of the nation's doctoral research land-grant institutions, the largest historically black college and university in America, and the role we see ourselves continually assuming not only here in the Piedmont Triad of North Carolina, state of North Carolina, nation as a whole, as we recruit exceptionally talented young people to this institution, including our incredible student athletes. The educational experiences we afford these intelligent, highly engaged, and as I often say, very demanding students. Athletics plays a key part in this process. And based on the intensive work of the Athletics Assessment Committee, a key recommendation unanimously approved by this committee was presented to our Board of Trustees this morning. And our Board of Trustees approved the recommendation of the Aggie Assessment Committee, Athletics Assessment Committee, for North Carolina NT State University on or before June 30th, 2021, we would make a recommendation that we would send our communications and confirm our intent to depart the Mid-Eastern Athletics Conference and accept the invitation of the Big South. And I should say now it's no longer an invitation, it is now signed and sealed. Membership in the Big South, effectively July 1st, 2001. We're excited about this process. We're excited about our participation in this conversation with our colleagues in the Big South. We thank them for the invitation to become a member of the Big South, and we're excited about what this means about the future of our university and the future of athletics at North Carolina NT. I'd like to have our chair of our Athletics Assessment Committee, Mr. Tim King, come forward, provide a few comments about our process and some of the key aspects of the Athletics Assessment Committee's conversations, and some key thoughts by the committee. Tim.
Thank you, Chancellor. Good morning.
Good morning.
As Chancellor Martin said, the review of North Carolina A&T Athletics Conference affiliation goes back more than 5 years. It took a more formal form late last year when the Board of Trustees established an Athletics Conference Assessment Committee. And on that committee, we had Board of Visitor members, Board of Trustee members, Aggie Athletic Foundation, and the Aggie Alumni Foundation, as well as Hall of Fame, as our chancellor talked about. That committee, which I chaired, was tasked with 3 things. One was assessing the strategic benefits and risk associated with our current conference alignment. Secondly, was evaluating potential benefits and risk associated with conference realignment within selected FCS and FBS conferences, and preparing a recommendation, which we did, for consideration by the university regarding our future conference affiliation. And you heard the comments about that this morning. As we sought to answer those questions, we were guided by several very important ideas. First, whatever we ultimately recommended had to be in the best interest of our more than 300 student athletes, who are arguably some of the hardest working and most disciplined and academically committed students at this university. Second, whatever we recommended had to be in the highest interest of A&T, which holds a singular place in America higher education as the largest, and by many measures, its best historically black university. So whatever athletics affiliation we might have must be in alignment with the standards and expectations that we have for this fine institution. Lastly, if we were to recommend a change, it had to represent significant new opportunities and push the aspirations of our athletics program and this university forward in meaningful and ongoing ways. Our fact-finding and deliberations were extensive and enlightening. At the end of the day, we were unanimous in agreement over the course forward and what it should be. That is not always possible as a matter as complex as this, and I think it speaks to the thoroughness of the committee's work and the quality of the information that we had to evaluate. I will leave it to our next speaker to address some of the most compelling specifics. Someone has provided outstanding leadership for athletics programs over the past 9 years, and last year was named Under Armour Athletics Director of the Year for the NCAA FCS. I present to you Mr. Earl Hilton.
Thank you, Mr. King, Chancellor Martin, and good morning to each of you. Glad that you're here. This is a very exciting day for us. Difficult for me to get my head around entirely all that this means. I'm certain that we'll look back on this occasion in the years coming and have a better grasp of the impact of this decision that was made today and how it has impacted our institution and our student athletes, our alumni, our fans, and the entire educational operation that is North Carolina A&T State University. I'm grateful to have been part of that. I want to start by expressing my gratitude for the committee and the fine work, the hard work, the difficult work, the soul-searching, gut-wrenching work which they did. And I recognize that and appreciate their willingness to engage with this matter and to step into this space with us. As Mr. King suggested, our primary driver has been and will continue to be the welfare of our student athletes. What is in their best interest? What is their experience at A&T, and how can we act in a way that will augment, that will enhance, that will support and sustain what they're trying to accomplish here as students first and then student athletes secondarily. And so those considerations drove the conversations that we had in this assessment committee and ultimately drove the decision that has been made, which has been discussed already. We feel unequivocally that this will benefit in material and direct ways our student athletes and their athletic and academic experience. It will give them an opportunity to engage more closely with their academics, to have more time on campus, will provide opportunities for them to engage as students in ways that we traditionally think of college and college experience, allowing our student athletes to have access to some of those additional opportunities. This decision will provide increased opportunities for them to have the ability to manage their time, more discretionary time, more time that's their own, so they can balance the demands, which are not singular to student athletes, but certainly are exacerbated in student athletes, the burdens that all college students carry to manage the difficulties of being a 19 or 20-year-old young person and class and work and relationships. Those issues, those concerns are compounded in the life of a student athlete who must also coordinate that with the obligations he has, she has, with practice and competition, and be publicly accountable to each of us, because we are pretty insistent that we win. And so when we don't have any problem expressing that publicly through social media. And our students carry that burden. They feel that. They read those tweets. And so this opportunity for them to have more space, to experience more of college life, to have access to other opportunities that we associate traditionally with college, organizations, clubs, student government, internships, employment, all of those things that they will need in order to be successful once they leave us will now be available to them in ways they haven't been before. There's also, of course, an economic component to this. With that reduced travel time, there will be reduced travel expenses. That money, and I don't want to hazard a guess as to how big that will be, but I think it will be significant, that we save, will be reinvested in the support, again, of our student athletes and their experience. Facilities, equipment, nutrition, other needs that they have, educational, additional academic counselors. All of that will be available to support, again, the experience of our student athletes. And finally, we will, with this move into the Big South, join our institutions who are similarly sized and structured to ours. It's a lateral move in many ways from a financial perspective, for which we're grateful. It is a vertical move in many ways from a competition standpoint. We welcome that challenge. We look forward to engaging with our new friends from the Big South. Now, let me be clear, the MEAC gave us all that we could say grace over for a lot of years. There was plenty. They tested and challenged, and we played and enjoyed that competition that we had with our friends in the MEAC. We expect to continue those relationships. We expect to continue those, what will then be non-conference games, but those relationships that we've developed with our traditional rivals and across a number of sports. Our anticipation is that we will maintain those relationships and that competitive opportunity that we've enjoyed. But we look forward to the opportunity to test our mettle against new friends and to continue to push the boundaries, as we always have. It's something in the air. It's part of being an Aggie. That's who we are. We're going to push the boundaries. We expect to be the best. We expect to win every time we go out. That won't change, regardless of who we play or where we are. And I look forward to the new challenges and embracing those new challenges in the Big South. I now have the pleasure of bringing up President Hemphill from Radford, who is the chair of the membership committee from the Big South. He'll be followed by Kyle Calander. Close? Not Calander. I'm going to have to practice that. Kyle Calander, who is the commissioner of the Big South Conference. President Hemphill.
Good morning. I want to begin by taking this opportunity to ask you to join me in giving a round of applause for your Chancellor, Chancellor Marlin, for his leadership of this institution, first of all. Thank you. And I'm sitting next to Nito, and we're talking about winning every time out. Nito said, "Was this a good decision?" So I said, "I don't know, Nito." But I'm truly honored to have the opportunity to be here. I'd like to begin by saying to each of you, I know that Kyle will introduce my colleagues that are here, but I want to begin by saying that I'm a proud graduate of HBCU. I'm a former president of a historically black college, and I understand and appreciate the unique role and powerful experience of HBCUs. So today I'm here as the president of Radford University and representing a dedicated group of outstanding colleagues who lead incredible institutions across the Big South. And I will tell you that for nearly 40 years, the Big South has stayed committed to excellence in the classroom and in competition. And at our core, we're dedicated to providing a one-of-a-kind experience for our students as we serve this region of the country. So today represents a significant step forward, not only for the conference, not only for our members, but also for this great institution, which has a proud legacy of exceptional leadership, teaching, discovery, and a commitment to not only North Carolina, but the nation and the world. So we consider this both an honor and a privilege to welcome the Aggies to the Big South, and we could not be more proud to welcome you to this family. So today, you're gaining, I will say this, a fierce set of competitors, because we're very competitive as well. I want you to know that, but also a group of loyal friends. So I say to each of you, go Aggies. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Chancellor Martin. And thank you all for being here today. What a wonderful crowd here. This is really overwhelming. On behalf of the Big South Conference, I want to welcome all of the Aggies to the Big South Conference and to our wonderful league. We are certainly thrilled and excited to be here today and to have North Carolina A&T State University join the Big South Conference family. Dr. Martin, thank you for your strong leadership. And we want to thank you and the board for your faith and trust in the Big South Conference. We know this is a momentous decision. We respect, we honor, and we understand that. But I want to tell you that we will work hand in hand with you to accomplish all the goals that you've set out for this institution with the Big South Conference institutions, and we will have an outstanding relationship moving forward. We really are looking forward to that. So let me tell you what a big deal this is for the Big South Conference. Never before have we had 4 sitting member institution chief executive officers attend a new member announcement. That's a huge deal. And as a commissioner, it's a huge deal to get 2 of them together. So to get 4, it's really significant. So I want to take a moment to recognize them. Big South Conference President Taylor Reevely, President of Longwood University. Big South Conference Vice President Brad Creed, President of Campbell University. You met Brian Hemphill, Chair of our Membership Committee and President of Radford University, and High Point University President Nito Cobain. Thank you all for being here. We also have some athletics directors here present with us today, and I want to certainly recognize them. We have the chair of our athletics directors and board of administrators, Chuck Birch, the AD at Gardner-Webb University. We have Omar Banks, the athletics director from Campbell University. Omar's in the back. Dan Hauser's joined us, the athletics director from High Point University. So again, thank you all for being here. This is a historic occasion for us, and obviously you witnessed that. So when we began the process of considering North Carolina A&T State University for membership in the Big South Conference, I will confess I didn't know as much about the university as I should have. I'd certainly known about the incredible success the football team has had nationally. Certainly aware of the proud history and tradition of NCA&T and their students over the course of time. And I've certainly driven by campus a number of times. But I needed to know more about the Big South about NCA&T, and I was looking forward to that process. And we began the research process. And we researched prospective institutions very closely and very thoroughly. So as we began that process and learned more about the university, as we spoke with people familiar with NCA&T, as we visited with Chancellor Martin and others on campus, as we visited campus, to say that we were impressed is an understatement. The academic prowess of this institution, the growth and the trend lines of what's happening here, the strong leadership, the academic and athletic facilities, and the success of its broad-based athletics program all were very impressive to us and made it a great and easy decision, frankly, for us. It's truly phenomenal. I know you're all proud of this university, of NC-A&T, and you should be. And we are so proud to welcome the Aggies to the Big South Conference. Now, this is all extremely important because in the Big South Conference, membership expansion is not a numbers game. We want to bring in institutions that make us better. NC-A&T State University does that for the Big South. And we are proud that you will be joining us. So, the Big South leadership has learned a lot about NC-A&T over the last several months. Well, let me tell you a little bit about the Big South. In football, we have had 4 times in the past 6 years, multiple teams go to the FCS playoffs. 5 of the past 7 years, we have had teams reach the quarterfinals in the playoffs. In basketball, we have committed to minimum standards for success for our basketball programs and our student athletes. We have national champions in baseball, cross country, track and field. Last year, we extended our long-term relationship with ESPN for another 7 years. And not only did we dramatically improve the financial terms of that agreement, but it provides for over 1,000 events to be televised on ESPN platforms. And that includes a nationally televised Game of the Week in men's basketball and the basketball championship. Tremendous exposure for all of the Big South Conference institutions and our student athletes. We are a geographically compact conference. You heard Earl talk a little bit about the benefits of that. We endearingly call our conference a bus league. That is an extreme positive for us. Why? It keeps student athletes on campus more. It saves money to the bottom line. You don't have as far to travel. Less missed class time. But probably more than anything, it builds rivalries. Your fans can attend games easily all over the Big South Conference, and NC-A&T is smack dab in the middle of the Big South Conference footprint. I challenge you to find other conferences that have such a compact geographic footprint. And in my mind, that is the future for institutions like those in the Big South Conference. Big South Conference member institutions collaborate on an academic consortium where we share academic programs and activities. But probably most importantly of all, Big South Conference chief executive officers have approved a comprehensive strategic plan that focuses on the student athlete's success and well-being. The student athlete voice is center to all that we do. And all that we do is focused on those student athletes being successful and reaching their goals in being winners on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. So I think you can see why the Big South Conference is a great fit for NC-A&T and why A&T is a great fit for the Big South Conference. So, to North Carolina A&T State University, welcome to the Big South Conference, and go Aggies.
We have time for some brief Q&A with members of the media here. Any of our speakers, please come back to the podium if there's a question directed your way. So we'll open up the floor for questions. Anyone? Yes.
I got several. How long, first of all, did you approach other conferences other than the Big South?
Thank you for that question. I will say to you that when we started the process, we looked across, I want to say, 8 different conferences that we could be a member of.
All FCS or FCS and FBS?
Both. And based on the criteria that we used, which was about 14 different attributes, we looked at how we compared and contrasted. And based on some of those attributes, we got to eliminate some of those conferences based strictly on how we compared and contrasted with the data.
Just a follow-up. In the Big South, they have a team in New Jersey, Monmouth, that plays football, have a team in Georgia, Kennesaw State, that plays football, and a team in Alabama, North Alabama. I think they're relatively recent additions to the Big South. And it Martin, that travel is perhaps more or similar to what you do in the MEAC now. What was the difference in terms of class time and things that you made reference to?
I'll arrow to that, please.
You're exactly right. So the difference is the other 16 sports. Yeah, certainly football will have trips to Atlanta, they'll have trips to New Jersey, they'll have trips to Alabama. But the other 16 sports will live in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina.
Other questions? Yes.
The commissioner just mentioned the ESPN partnership. What was it about the, I guess, the MEAC's partnership with television that maybe wasn't as appealing and it made the switch to be more appealing for you guys from a financial standpoint?
You'd be surprised how little the media package had to do with the conversation. It really was focused on student athletes and their experience, their lived experience with the travel and the demands of being a student athlete on campus. We're delighted about the media package. That was not one of our primary considerations.
You guys mentioned before that you guys want to keep those relationships with some of the MEAC schools. What are some of the schools that you guys are looking to target to still play?
It's a good question. Obviously, bowling will stay in the MEAC, again, if they'll have us, and they'll continue their regular MEAC schedule in bowling. We would hope to maintain a relationship with most of our MEAC rivals. Certainly Central would figure prominently in that across multiple sports, but we're also interested in playing any number of MEAC schools who would have an interest in a home-and-home arrangement across any sport.
Yes.
This is for the Big South Commissioner. Are you looking at further expansion and more specifically with respect to MEAC schools?
Great question. We're very deliberate, as I indicated, in terms of our membership consideration. So if there are institutions that we feel would be value added for us in the Big South Conference, we will take a look and we will consider that. Now you go above 12 members, even though we're not based, we're not solely focused on the number, becomes a little bit more difficult. And so maybe we're a little bit more discerning at that point. But that doesn't mean we won't take a look, because if it's the right institution for us and it makes us better, and we feel great about that association and it meets the goals of what we're trying to achieve, we will certainly take a look.
Yes.
Earl, you said that financially it's a lateral move, but competition-wise, it's a vertical move. Explain that.
That's probably all I want to say on that, Luke.
Okay, I got another for you. Go there. When Hampton made this move from the MEAC to the Big South, certainly you all know about, they made it late and they got into a lot of trouble with schedules. I imagine this is why you're doing it well in a year in advance.
Yes, sir.
Almost forgot my question. Did Hampton's move to the Big South, did they have any effect on how you all processed this whole?
Certainly we were aware that they were there and reestablishing what had been in a previous rivalry played in the back of our minds, but again, not a huge part of the consideration. We're kind of doing what Aggies do. We do what makes best sense for us.
A question for Chancellor Martin. Chancellor Martin, what would you say to people who kind of look at this move from a cultural perspective as kind of a negative, not necessarily positive? What would you say to people who look at this as HBCU, leaving an HBCU conference? How would you address that?
I've heard a lot about the concerns. We weighed heavily those perspectives for the last 5 years as part of our conversation. But the significant change our university has been experiencing over the last decade has not been restricted to just athletics. And every major decision we've made about the future of our university under the oversight of our Board of Trustees has always pulled out of our constituency those same array of questions. So we're very sensitive to those. We also believe, though, that amongst the most significant of those questions is, we're an HBCU, how we're going to protect the history and traditions of our university as an HBCU. And my response has always been, we're always going to be an HBCU. But being excellent in who we are is not mutually exclusive to our university being a historical black college and university. We also want to make sure that we're continuing to help our constituency recognize while our university is an HBCU, we have to compete with these very same institutions and other institutions and other conferences in recruiting talent to our university, be that faculty and staff, be to help us grow our research, expand our academic competitiveness, for example, continue to provide a better platform and stronger platform for our student athletes to be successful in our classrooms and our playing fields, for example. And we'll do that consistently. And we'll continue to provide opportunities, as A.D. Hilton suggested a few months ago. We will continue to manage strategic opportunities to play a North Carolina Central, a Norfolk State, a Howard University, a FAMU. Those come to mind immediately as very strong, very competitive rivalry institutions for our university. I see our football coach sitting here as well. I'm sure he would love to have an opportunity to continue to pay an institution like FAMU, who talks a lot. And so having an opportunity to play them on the playing field helps us solve some of those conversations, for example. And that not only would be in football, but also in basketball, quite honestly. And so when I go into Club Corbett today, our students are turning it out in terms of energy and excitement and enthusiasm and the quality and brand of basketball we play. But it also is a space where our students, in their excitement and enthusiasm and energy, make it a competitive advantage for our university and our student athletes. They do. We would expect them to amp up even more so when a Big South opponent comes into Club Corbett, and we will demonstrate how Aggies do it here on this campus. But we're also appealing to our fans, who are incredible fans. They really are. We travel significantly. And in my mind, that's a historical culture of support for this institution that we also want to appeal to that same group of loyal Aggies. And as we build new Aggie fans, we'll continue to travel significantly with our university. Or we're going to North Dakota State to play North Dakota State. Or where we're going east of us to play Campbell, or slightly north of us to play Radford, or right across the county to play High Point University. We would expect fans to follow us in that space as well. We really do. So I know this is a change, but our university has been about change, growth, prosperity. And we have to continue to enable and encourage our constituency to grow with us, expand with us, while also continue to enhance, not dilute, our great history and cultural successes of our university. That's what I would say to our fans.
We'll have two more questions here. Let's see, anybody else who hasn't asked? Take here and then you to wrap.
All right, the board vote this morning, was it unanimous? If not, what were some of the concerns? And then even though the Hampton situation is a little bit different, is there any concerns that MEAC teams may not want to or may not be able to? In football.
Who want to take it?
We can Huntley Brinkley if you like. Yeah. There was one dissenting vote this morning of the board, and the general concern of the board was consistent whether they voted positively for the recommendation of the assessment committee. It was around how do we ensure that we are assuring our constituency that we are as concerned and focused on ensuring the continuing experiences of our fans and in particular our student athletes as well. So that was a consistent general concern, quite honestly. The other concern, of course, was as a result of our continuing to grow and expand our university and position our university to continue to be competitive in all aspects of the institution, how does this translate into the next 10-year strategic outgrowth of our university. Those are very difficult conversations as we've worked with a very, very engaged Board of Trustees to think about our university as we historically do with this incredible board, is think about what are the most strategic areas of opportunity for our university, as any business does. And so we'll continue to frame out those conversations. And so if you were to ask me, I could give you my perspective. But we are fortunate to have here a great partnership between our Board of Trustees, with me and with our leadership team here to continue to look strategically at where there are opportunities to advance our institution. That, to me, is an exceptional space in which to work, looking at ways in we continue to advance our institution and the like. And so athletics is one of those aspects. So when I look across the board's vote this morning, to have one dissenting opinion, and it was a dissenting opinion because they wanted to make sure they were making a point that we continue to keep before us the concerns of our constituency around the history and traditions of our university. And you're speaking to me. I'm an alum. Value the importance of our history and traditions, but I'm also a driver of excellence for our university as well. And that's the charge our board has given to me, to continue to advance our institution in a very strategic and sensible way about the future of our university. And we'll continue to do that.
This is like that follow-up to what you're saying, Chancellor Martin. I would ask Earl or Tim King, did you all do any kind of focus group amongst alumni to see what they thought about this kind of move?
That's a great question. To have these kinds of conversations in a public venue don't normally lead to best outcomes in conversation, as you may very well understand. So creating an assessment committee that had highly regarded representation from all of the important groups that represent our university, especially in the athletic space, in my mind, helped to create the voices from our constituent groups that allowed us to ensure that we were very intentionally and very smartly evaluating what was best for the future of our university from each of those constituent bodies. And so I first believe that the formulation of the committee was wise and an excellent group created by our Board of Trustees. People think that this is a Harold Martin decision. This is not a Harold Martin decision. This is a Board of Trustees strategic oversight and assessment of what's best for the future of our university. And it was independent of me being a part of that group, but adding input and advice and the like. And so I'm very pleased about the conversations we've had. We will continue to have those conversations, and we'll continue to work at understanding the needs and concerns of our constituency, but also continue to move them along with us as we move along this journey as well. I also want to say, reiterate something that Earl Hilton said. Our constituency expects us to win. I don't think there's anyone amongst our constituency that hates losing more than I do, quite honestly. And so I think Earl is probably second, but I hate losing. I pout often when we lose. And so our expectation is that we will drive our coaches and our student athletes, providing them the platform they need to compete, and we'll expect to go win, even in the Big South.
Thank you, Chancellor Martin.